Linux OTC. Welcome to episode
12?
11?
13.
13?
It's 12 for
I
you,
think-
Norbert, because
Yeah,
you didn't
yeah,
show up last time.
13. Is it 13?
It
I'm
is.
gonna- Yeah, it is 13.
Yeah.
Because
Bill, did you named your file wrong, it sounds like.
I don't know, but I'm losing track. When you got 3 shows and they're all wildly different numbers, it's hard to...
It's Bill-012-1 because there's 2 of them now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And make it easy for you, I will make sure to name my file 12.
Oh,
Don't you friggin' dare.
he's
That'll-
going to do it now. I see it in
Oh,
his eyes.
gosh. Yeah, I'm gonna... That's cool, though, because I'll rename it and then lock it or something. I don't know. Because I usually have to download... Well, no, not this show.
It'll be in the right
Mintcast.
folder.
Yeah.
You'll just never know for sure until Norbert starts talking if it was actually the right episode.
I'll just pull his access to the Nextcloud until until I get it. Till
No,
I get
see,
it all done.
Here's what we do. You mute him in Video Ninja, and then we just go on. You're like, Norbert wasn't here this episode.
That's how
Sorry.
we handle miscreants on this block.
There's
Oh,
not room
let's
enough
see.
for the 3 of us in
That's
here.
right. All right, so what do we want to talk about? Okay, we got some
Well-
hateful stuff going on here.
Hateful.
It's
Let's just say it's a bit unfortunate time for me to be a Fedora user.
oh, I don't
No,
know.
it's not. No,
I-
it's not.
Well, I know it's technically its own separate sovereign entity project. So it's
I
not.
mean-
I'm not really worried. I don't really plan to leave Fedora just because of what Red Hat is doing.
Hold on now. Red Hat did something then.
Red Hat did something.
So
Red
for
Hat-
those of you that are confused, and I guess if I was being honest, I am too.
There's nothing to be confused about.
We
will,
are-
We will like dissect it all. And,
We-
and
We will dissect a little bit of it. I mean, this is kind of a developing thing, I suppose. But on June 26, 2023, Red Hat announced that they will not be upstreaming. How do I explain this?
So yeah, in a blog post that Red Hat put out that day, the thing was titled "Furthering the Evolution of CentOS Stream," and the point of this particular blog post was just to explain that they are no longer going to be publishing the sources that they push into CentOS Stream into GitHub anymore. Well, they didn't really mention what that was, what wider impact that was going to have, because as we found out later on, they do not care. Well, I think they do care, actually. We'll get into that too. But
they might individually care, but as a company,
well,
they-
I guess what I mean is like they care. They did this move on purpose. But again, we'll get there. We'll get there.
Yeah.
So they stopped publishing to Git, and unfortunately for the likes of Springdale and Alma and Oracle and Rocky, that's where they pulled their sources from to build their clones. So that was the move. That was the blog post. And man, you can go back in all the channels that I'm in, and that day I was going to every channel and I was like, hey guys, how come we're not talking about this? What's the deal? Why is there a lag in this? Because we were talking about on this show the Flatpak thing, the LibreOffice Flatpak,
Yeah.
where they're just not publishing LibreOffice as a RPM anymore. They're just going strictly to Flatpak, and that wasn't going to affect the ELs, the enterprise Linuxes, until 10, but it affects Fedora like probably now, right? Like now-ish, or if not now, like real soon. So
Probably the next one that 39 should be
okay.
affected.
So in
Okay.
a couple of months, it's
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
gonna hit the
But
fedoras. Okay.
I have been using both Firefox and LibreOffice as a Flatpak, and
Yeah.
this kind of ties into a different discussion around Firefox.
Okay.
and
So let's
Debian later.
let's finish off this one before we get into that one. So when they did that, when they did the Flatpak change, I mean, it was instantaneous. People were pissed off, like, oh my God, how dare they do this? And I thought it was a silly thing to be mad about. Flatpak is the future. I mean, Red Hat very specifically is sponsoring the development of Flatpak to move to it. And Fedora, for all of its good, for all of its bad, is absolutely a future embracing distro. They will make those changes before just about anybody. I mean, they make a lot of these changes before Arch make these changes. So it is not surprising to me. The thing that surprised me was that something that, I mean, if Rocky and Alma were not so adamant about staying alive, would have killed the enterprise clone community. That's what this move was intended to do. Now, they didn't say it in this particular blog post, but in the next blog post a couple days ago, because there was about a day and a half of lag. But then everybody was pissed about it. So I got my wish. It was just a little late, and I didn't know
Well, could
why.
it be because not as many people are really following the enterprise space as much? Because when
Probably.
Red Hat announces something like the whole LibreOffice thing, that really kind of touches everybody. That touches the Red Hat users, the users themselves as well. I mean, in the future, of course, but also the non-enterprise CentOS users as well as the Fedora users. So that might have been the reason why it caught the zeitgeist a little bit quicker, and then the people who are perhaps in, I wanted to say, a lesser numeric category might be catching wind of something like this, because I didn't find out about it until the first time I heard about it was on the last episode of one of Joe Resington's shows. I can't remember, but it was this week.
Right.
And then I heard about it on Linux Action News, which was just, I think, Wednesday. So, yeah, this did not pick up speed quite as fast as the Flatpak thing did, but it should be taken just as seriously, if not more, because this is kind of, I'm not sure what can be done about this.
Okay, so there are paths forward. That's kind of the cool thing that's come over the past couple of days. But in the medium time, Red Hat put out another post, and it's from Mike McGrath. Mike McGrath put out the first one, and then all the fervor happened a couple days later, and then so on the 26th of June, he put out a second one that said Red Hat's commitment to open source, because one of the main refrains from people, and this includes the lawyers at the Software Freedom Conservancy, right? Like, people that know more than me about what the GPL means and what it means to actually be compliant underneath it, right? They came out and said, we are not sure that Red Hat doing this is compliant under the GPL. Because Red Hat's, what Red Hat is saying is that anybody that gets our software who is a customer, because only customers can get Red Hat software,
and developers
have access to the sources, and this is what Red Hat is saying, that makes it compliant underneath the GPL. What was that, Norbert?
and developers. You can have a free developer account, but you are
Right, but they're still considered customers because they have an account, right? So they still have to agree to the license agreement that whenever you get an account, it says, here's this wall of text, and here's what you will and will not do with this account. And the big thing that catches everybody out on this is you will not redistribute the sources. So that kind of hamstrings any kind of attempt of Rocky and Alma just getting a developer account and then just grabbing the sources and then just spinning them straight into Alma and Rocky.
Yeah,
So-
because the GPL says that you need to have the freedom to use the software, to look at the code, to modify the code and redistribute your modified code.
That's where I'm getting confused here.
Yes, but
right. Okay.
but
so here's the thing. But the GPL.
but wait, if you're a Red Hat customer and you get the source code from the customer portal and you redistribute it, that is not illegal because the GPL says you can redistribute it.
Correct.
However, if Red Hat finds out that you have been redistributing it, they will revoke your access to the customer portal, so you will not be getting any new source code for the new updates.
Exactly.
So that's basically how they say that, how they are circumventing the GPL limitation.
So they're loopholing, is
Yeah.
basically.
I don't think they're loopholing. This is, you can argue about the spirit of the GPL all you want to, but I mean, you can decide who gets your software. That is not a restriction of the GPL. It does not tell you who you can and cannot give your software to. It is within the letter of the GPL to do what they're doing. Now, the SFC takes not offense, issue. They take issue with that. They say that, in the letter and the spirit, it's but those guys are lawyers and they know better than I do. But on a layman read through, it seems to me that that's what they can do. So that's what they are doing, and so that's the read that the Red Hat lawyers have too. So
Did they specifically use the word spirit, the spirit of open source?
they use
Because-
both the letter and the spirit in
Yeah,
their
but I-
big old.
Is
Well,
does the word
when they say the spirit, they're talking about ethicality. We're like,
Yeah,
is it
but-
ethical to do what they're doing?
Yes, but
like
yeah,
under the
yeah.
GPL, right?
but
Like
ethics and legal stuff are two different things.
exactly.
So
You don't have to
basically,
be
this
ethical.
means I can make a project, and then I can create some sort of portal where I am saying, okay, if you want access to the source code, you got to sign up to this account. You got to get yourself an account and be on the mailing list and all that garbage, and then you have access to the source code. But here's the rules that we're going to put down. This is GPL software. But if you take this GPL software and you redistribute it and you rename it like people have been doing since day one, we're going to revoke your access to this portal, and we're saying that that's okay. That is within.
That is what Red Hat is saying. Yes.
Okay.
The SFC takes issue with that and says that they do not believe that is not, and the way that the GPL puts it, I believe, is an unreasonable restriction. I think on like getting the source essentially.
That wording is a bit vague.
What?
But
Woke.
does it
Oh.
vague? No, the
Oh,
the
vague.
wording vague.
Oh.
Yeah, vague.
Got it.
Vague.
Got it.
Vague. Yeah,
So
gotcha.
does the GPL
Well, right,
actually use the
and that's-
word unreasonable?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Does the GPL actually use the word unreasonable?
I can't remember the exact wording, but it's something like that. Yes.
Because if it does, that's vague, not woke. Vague.
Vague. Right. Got
Vague.
it. Okay. Yes.
VAGUE.
yes. Yes.
It
French words,
really,
man.
but I mean, leaving the ethicality and the legality aside, this really feels like they went looking for a reason to pull people's access to this. I
But
mean-
that's my point. Yes, they did. This was exactly a play to kill the clones, and they
Yeah.
admit as much in the second blog post. So the Red Hat commitment to open source response to the git.centos.org changes, where Mike McGrath goes in. Does he use the word free? No, he doesn't use the word freeloader in this blog post, but there was a whole lot of chatter from Red Hat employees using the verbiage freeloaders to refer to the downstream clones, the enterprise clones. And I watched the CIQ where Greg Kurtzer and a couple of the others that work on Rocky were talking about it. And I think he put it really well. He was saying that calling Rocky Linux or the EL clones freeloaders is not a slight against Rocky or the clones. It's a slight against the customers of those clones or the users of those clones, right? You don't even have to be a customer to be a user. And I think that's very true. That rings very true to me because Red Hat, I mean, yes, they're taking issue with people rebuilding their software, but the people that use the software are really the only way that those particular distributions get any traction. So Anything you say of those distros, you're saying of those users as well.
Now, how about what do you guys think of this? I've seen it in plenty of Reddit posts. Yes, I got on Reddit. Sue me. The opinion seems to be that there's more CentOS users or more Rocky and Alma users than there is RHEL users.
No, to
When
be
you
honest
say
with-
CentOS, are you including CentOS Stream?
I'm
or
not
just
actually.
7?
I'm not including CentOS at all. I'm including the clones.
Stream and RHEL versus
Yeah.
the clones. Yeah.
Right.
I don't to be honest with you, just on a gut feeling, this has no data behind it because we do not have the data.
Yeah.
We cannot say.
Can only be
what's what.
anecdotal.
But my gut feeling is, nah, that's wrong. There's no
Yeah.
way. There's no way that you have more of the Rocky users than you do customers. I think what might happen though is that you have RHEL users of RHEL, and then for the things that you don't want to license or your testing boxes or whatever that you don't want to have to ask permission from Red Hat to spin up, you spin up Rocky or Alma or whatever. So I think there are lots of both, and I think there are more Red Hat that are not both, more Red Hat than the clones. But that's unscientific. I cannot back that up with anything.
Okay.
And because they're supposed to be back-to-back compatible, if you want, you can convert a Alma or Rocky system into Red Hat and get a subscription, and then you suddenly get the Red Hat support. Because the big difference is that with Red Hat, if you pay, you get the support.
Well,
So
the thing
my
about
impression-
the conversion is
my
that
impression-
it doesn't exist. That doesn't exist. Had Red Hat employees come out and say there are no Rocky or Alma to RHEL conversion scripts. There are Oracle to Red Hat conversion scripts, but there are no official Rocky or Alma to RHEL scripts.
I never really thought about, but Oracle Linux is also a RHEL clone, but they are also a company, so they are
And they're also
paid, right? They also sell the support.
That's like a whole separate issue right
So
there.
they're also very quiet. They haven't
So-
said
Yeah.
anything.
They are
Yeah, so-
extremely quiet.
So if one makes the argument that the community RHEL clones are freeloaders, but you can use those for free, but Oracle you have to pay for. So
Same as you do RHEL, you have to have a
so that would,
subscription, yeah.
but they are still a rebuild of RHEL, so that would
Correct.
make them a bigger freeloader.
Look,
in,
there is
in that
not-
argument.
There's not a company in this world that I don't believe has a statement about this. I mean, it is Oracle is the biggest one that would have a statement, but I guarantee you the reason that they have not said anything is because their lawyers said, "Shut up, just shut up. We will write a statement. You shut up."
yeah.
I guarantee that's what happened. But to finish off the blog post thing, so Mike McGrath finishes off. Simply rebuilding code without adding value or changing it in any way represents a real threat to open source companies everywhere. This is a real threat to open source and one that has the potential to revert open source back into a hobbyist and hackers-only activity. And if I'm not mistaken, this is in the blog post. This is the
Yeah,
this is
I'm
the Bill
looking
Gates
at
quote,
exactly
isn't it?
what you. Yeah, I'm
Or
looking
is-
exactly what you just said. It's in the blog post.
Yeah, I don't know if this is the Bill Gates quote, but Bill Gates said something very, very similar, if not the exact same, back in the 90s.
Well, I don't
But-
know that I agree with that completely. I can
It's
see.
not. There's no. Open source works that way.
Yeah.
Are you telling me that every fork in the entire world does not, quote, add value or change it in any way?
Because
I mean, I get that
That's what RHEL does, because Red Hat is a distribution. It's a collection of a bunch of separate, independent, free of software projects,
Yeah.
like any other distribution. And a lot of those projects get a lot of attention and development and money from Red Hat. So
what
if
it
you're
is
u- but if
they
you're
want
using-
to get value one way or the other out of every user of this
Yeah.
code base.
That's the
Meaning whether it's people that are using CentOS Stream and they're filing bug reports, or they're people using, and the same with Fedora, they're filing bug reports, they're trying things out, or they're paying for Red Hat official support. They're getting value out of that. And as a company, everything about this makes absolute sense.
yes, but if you are someone who has been using CentOS or Rocky or Alma in production somewhere in your company, and Red Hat tells you to move to CentOS Stream, what they are telling you is become their beta tester and use their beta software in production in your company. Which, from the point of view of the business owner, I can understand that how it seems not logical to
Well, no, I
move
mean,
from stable software to beta software.
They're
And I'm
not-
saying beta because essentially CentOS Stream is a beta of Red Hat.
I don't know if I agree with beta.
I don't know
but
if I'd say beta. I would say that it's in a hardening phase,
yeah.
basically,
So
because
They're not-
It's theoretically less stable than RHEL.
Red Hat is not telling you to go use CentOS Stream for your production. That is not what they are saying. They are saying come buy licenses and use
Yeah.
RHEL, use real RHEL.
but
for
if you
your
can't, we got
services.
CentOS Stream
Yeah.
over here.
Exactly. So if you cannot afford real RHEL, then use CentOS Stream. It is a backup plan, but because it tracks, CentOS tracks, then you're just using RHEL that'll be released in a couple of months.
Yeah.
That's what you're
That
doing.
is- I can see that being fair because I've been using Fedora for more than a year, and it has been the most stable distro I've ever used. So if I made a comparison that CentOS Stream is like a beta for Red Hat, that would make Fedora the alpha of Red Hat. And
Kinda, but it's
yeah,
so many
and
years apart that I don't even
Yeah,
think that
yeah. And-
that rings true either.
if Fedora is so stable, and there's also Fedora Server and Fedora CoreOS that you can use, then I assume that CentOS Stream must be even more stable. There's probably a standard of stableness that the businesses prefer that was the old CentOS. And
I think it's less about Fedora being stable
Yeah.
than it is about just software in general being stabler now, more stable.
Yeah.
And Fedora just reaping the benefit of that, even though that they're right in the cusp there of just straight up, this is right off the trunk, dude. we threw this
Yeah.
one in.
Yeah,
the
and I've looked
entire-
at CentOS Stream, and from what I can tell, it's just as it looks and acts the same to me, which begs the question. I mean, I know there's nuance and it's complicated, but is there? I think this might be the most important question for people that are depending on Rocky and Alma. Is there a transition path from those distributions to either paid subscription on RHEL or move over to CentOS Stream?
So
There's
moving
not
an
an
existing
official-
system is what you're saying, and not reinstalling, but moving an existing system.
Yeah, because you're going to
there's no
have
official way.
maybe that might be a really goodwill effort that Red Hat could make.
I mean, Goodwill was not touching the GitHub, but
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but I mean, they are well aware of what they're doing is they're looking at the bottom line, right? And they're going to see to their. So that being said, they should understand that many of these companies that have chose to use Rocky and Alma are doing so because they're doing the exact same thing. The reality is some companies just don't value their IT as much as they should, and if they can find a free way to get the exact same software that they would get from RHEL, then some companies will go that route because the people that are making the decisions to do that are unfortunately their bonus system or their how they're evaluated as an employee is based on how much money they save the company, and so they go with things like Rocky and Alma. So if Red Hat might do well to understand that that's part of the reason why some companies might have went that route, and at least put some tooling in place to give these people a clear transition path.
they know. They knew. At least at the very moment the blog dropped, the first one, they knew, and the tooling's not there. It's on purpose.
So why? Because if there was a tooling to move to RHEL itself from Rocky and Alma, that
You tell me. Why
Yeah,
would a
so-
company pull the rug out from underneath the clones and give no path into RHEL? No official path. There are paths. You can do it. But why would a company do that.
It's like they're saying basically, well, we never told you to go do this in the first place. Well, you did because you even went so far as to remove the branding from the.
If anything, this might make businesses be less inclined to choose clones in the future if the clones stay
Or less inclined to use
alive.
REL because what are they going to rip the.
Now we're cooking with gas, y'all. Yes, a company did this to discourage future use of clones. So not only did they rug pull everybody using clones now, the intention was to scare people. And you hit it, man. You hit it, Norbert. That was nail on the head right there.
And-
now people are going to be scared to use the clones because what if Red Hat does something different now?
And I keep thinking that all of this discussion, people say enterprise Linux. Red Hat has become synonymous with enterprise Linux. But
They are enterprise
yes,
Linux. They are.
Yes, but there's also SUSE and Canonical. And I can't help but think that maybe this will give some more traction to OpenSUSE Leap and Ubuntu server, both of which you can use without a subscription, even in business.
Yeah, but dude, here's the thing: if Red Hat can do it, then so can SUSE and so can Canonical.
Everyone can do
So
it.
why would your next choice be, all right, this one company burned me. They were good for 20 years. They burned me then. Now I'm going to go to a different
Yes,
company that can do
but
the exact same thing
Who
to me.
owns Red Hat?
What? Careful. Every single Red Hatter, and I don't know how true this is, but every single Red Hatter has said, up to Mike McGrath, has said IBM had no hand in this. Red Hat stepped in it all by themselves. Now, I mean, I have nothing else to go off of. I don't know any of the high-ups at IBM to know whether or not they told Mike McGrath to just, you keep our names out of your mouth when you talk about this stuff. I mean, maybe that is what happened, but that is not what is said, and I can't go off of that kind of.
Well, that was the obvious thing everybody said, wasn't it?
I
That
know.
he's just an IBM employee that.
But
Yeah.
I mean,
Because
Red Hat has made shady decisions in the past. It's not like and during the CentOS thing, the first CentOS, the CentOS Stream thing, you had so many employees saying, "Man, we really stepped in it on this one. We really should have given more runway. We really shouldn't have done it during the middle of a cycle. We really shouldn't. We really." All of those are fired now. They were laid off. So the people that were listening, that were going to make the decisions, that were going to affect the community long term are gone. So the lessons learned were gone with them. And they did it again in the middle of a cycle. It's like this stuff wouldn't be so bad if it was like, all right, at the end of CentOS 8, things are going to be different now. And you got your 8 years of runway until we get there. You got to figure something out. And
We
now
just
between
cutting
8
it out
years.
right now.
Yeah,
We
they were
ain't-
just like, you know what? Guess
we need
what?
the benefit
End
of
year.
this now.
Y'all got 6 months. Good luck. That's what happened. And no one was prepared for that. And so you get burned then, and then you get burned again this last month. And man, wow, ooh boy, ooh
Okay,
boy.
so what can Alma and Rocky do?
Okay,
I think they can take the source code from the CentOS Stream Kit that is
that is
closest,
not what they are going to do.
Yeah, but that is closest to the RHEL source code. So they can take the source code before it enters the Red Hat black box. And whenever there is something that has to be backported that RHEL themselves would backport into their sources, they get the patches and backport them themselves. So they would have to do more work, but the end result would probably not be nearly as
wouldn't
close
be EL,
to
first off. Yeah.
RHEL.
Yeah. So I was watching the CIQ thing again with Gregory Kurtzer and team, and they did give a pretty in-depth way of how they are going to move forward and how that is not going to affect their customers or their users in any way. And it's kind of funny because Red Hat is using a very specific reading of the GPL with regards to restrictions to kind of wall off the source code access to people that are not paying customers, right? Well, so is Rocky. Rocky is using the workaround, which is, where Red Hat is pretty much everywhere in the cloud. They're on AWS, they're on Google, they're on wherever. So for, a couple dollars a month or whatever, you get access to the containers and the virtual machines. And if you have access to RHEL, you have access to the source code. So what they do is they spin up VMs and they spin up containers and they pull the source that way. Because if you have RHEL, the source is available to you. So
Oh man.
there it is. Though that's the end run around, which is fine. If I can't get RHEL from a proper subscription, then I'm going to do the end run and go to Amazon and say, give me RHEL. And Amazon will say, okay, that'll be $1.99. And they'll pull the sources from that.
Which
That
Red
is
Hat
how
probably perfectly was aware of. So this just confirms that this was a move to scare people away from the clones.
I don't think so. I think you're giving them too much credit. I don't think this read was what they had envisioned. I think what's going to happen in the next couple of months is Red Hat is going to move to put that stuff behind a paywall too, or put additional restriction so that they can then write into their license agreement that not only do you have to have a subscription to get real RHEL from us, you also have to have a subscription or at least agree to something to get RHEL anywhere else too. So we're going to see how that plays out, but at least for right now, at least for 9.2, I mean, Rocky's winning. And I suppose Alma is going to do the same thing, and Springdale. And this is why I think Oracle's being quiet, because they knew the same thing. And they knew that they could get their sources from multiple places, and Red Hat didn't turn off the tap for all of them. So instead of Oracle sticking its foot in its mouth, it was just like, shh, we'll just keep until something forces us to make a change. A real substantive change to our customers or to our users. We're going to just, nope, mum's the word.
I didn't actually think about this because my assumption was that to get RHEL in any shape or form, you have to have a customer account.
No, same with
Red Hat.
Microsoft. You don't have to buy a real Microsoft Windows license to be able to run Windows on in the cloud. You could do that for cheap, pretty cheap. And you don't have to have a license, right? So, they're getting around running desktop Windows the same way they're getting around running RHEL.
You can install it for free on a KVM. You can't customize
you can install
anything, but
Windows
it runs
free on a real hardware as well. You can just
you
download
just
the
can't
media
do any
creation tool.
customizing. You get either the light theme or the
they've
dark
been much
theme.
more open with that these
Yeah.
last few years.
Which is kind of crazy, but I mean, I'm thankful for it because I've got two uses in an entire year for Windows, which is not
you
enough
get
to pay for it.
What is it, 160 days or something like that? You get to rearm it a couple times before it dies.
This doesn't die at all.
That's right.
No.
It doesn't ever die. It just tells
No,
you
it
that you
just-
need to activate forever.
It doesn't say anything until you go to the activation page, and then it says Windows is not activated.
Yeah.
And if you try to do any customization to it, which who does
that's
that?
Right.
I
was running
it'll
my
tell
daughter's
you.
desktop that way for a little while, and I was like, "Oh, let's change to dark mode," and it said, "No, you need a license for that." And I'm like, "Okay, let me dig in my bag of tricks."
I think
Let's get a
10
license.
was kind of the same way, except it would put this watermark on your desktop saying that Windows is not activated or
Yeah,
something like
yeah.
that. But then I guess it still had some functionality.
But I mean, you'd run a full screen game, and it still says it, but you're not paying attention to it. So.
Yeah, and it updates and everything. I just updated mine earlier today, just for lulls in that. So,
Why beat lulls? Because of what? It might not reboot.
It's interesting that you can get that kind of use out of it, but it makes sense because they want as many people as possible plugging into their data engine and getting all the metrics and the user data that they can from them, which is far more valuable than $100 license fee.
So before we meander off too far of the topic,
I was going to say,
what do you think is going to happen with the other, distributions that could fill the gap?
I think that depends on how much of this has to do with the general trends in tech. in the big companies recently, because everyone is either laying off people or revoking API access or closing down their ecosystem, or all of them. Because if I mean not just Twitter and Reddit closing stuff down because they don't want others to mine their data for AI, and basically
Right.
the general thing that how the way I understand it is a lot of tech companies have been running on to phrase it borrowed time. Like they now realizing that the way they've been operating this past decade is not necessarily profitable in the long term
Not just decade, since the beginning of the internet.
of the
This
internet.
is
Yeah,
the thing. The whole web 2.0 whatever, like the internet was always meant to be open. They're like, I get proprietary stuff, but chatter on the internet was never meant to be closed like this.
yeah,
And now you have to go only through the official channels to be able to get access to absolutely just about anything on the
yeah.
internet, unless it's like a blog.
And in connection to this, a take that I've seen in a couple of places was that IBM bought Red Hat, but it hasn't been very profitable for them so far. So that's why I was
Red
thinking,
Hat's insanely profitable.
is it?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, billions
Yeah.
a year. Insanely profitable.
Oh.
This is why I didn't understand the move. Like billions a year, just an extra billion now though. We got to number must go up.
Yeah, yeah. And that's the same with with Reddit, Twitter, most companies.
Yeah, well, social media companies are hard
Yeah.
to monetize cuz
I have been very content on Mastodon for the past couple of weeks.
yeah, I
I'm
like it.
trying it out again.
Yeah, it's good. I
And
like it a lot.
today, before we started recording, Twitter was broken again. A bunch of people were getting rate limit errors.
Oh yeah, well, yeah.
So,
Well,
It-
but today was the API day. Today was the day the
Oh,
API. The day we're
okay.
recording today. So,
So-
yesterday it happened like June 30th. It happened like for me because I use Apollo on iOS, and I really dislike Reddit, and I will pretty much probably not be on Reddit on my phone. Just their app sucks, man.
from day one, when I started using Reddit 10 plus years ago, I started using it via the Reddit is Fun app on Android.
Yeah, dude,
And
I've
a
got a
lot-
15-year-old
yeah.
account, dude. It's insane.
And mine is 10 and a half, probably. Will be 11 in September, I think.
Yeah.
And I even purchased the premium version of Reddit is Fun because I wanted to first not have ads and support the app.
Yeah. So for me,
And-
in the central time zone though, it happened like at 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. So I suppose it
Okay.
was a Pacific time zone thing.
So and Spaz, the CEO of Reddit, said that his plan is just to wait because people will come back
Yeah.
to Reddit.
Oh
But-
yeah.
But I have only ever used Reddit is Fun. So
Yeah.
if my ability to use the app I've been using for 10 and a half years is gone, I don't really have a place to go back to.
Old.reddit.com. That's the only
I know.
that is
Yes,
my
yeah,
only
but-
spigot for Reddit anymore. And when
I'm
they
actually
decide to close
surprised
that
that
down.
I'm actually surprised that it's still working.
Actually, so what I think is they're not sure how to close it without breaking stuff.
Okay.
I suppose that's the only reason
They're
why it's still
running
going,
that.
dude.
It's not some third party that's
Yeah, no, it's
accessing
internal.
APIs. It's internal. So yeah,
Yeah,
that'll keep
exactly.
running until.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was the original Reddit. I think, I suppose, because, dude, like, as a moderator on Reddit, you don't get the same tools on Reddit.com that you do on oldreddit.com. There are a bunch of discrepancies.
Yeah.
So I think oldreddit.com is up, like, for various reasons. Like, there is no analog in regular Reddit. So until it is
Spaghetti
1-to-1.
code.
Yeah, until it's 1-to-1, I don't think it's going to actually change. And
So-
even then, I don't even know that it has to be 1-to-1 before they pull the trigger, because even like Apollo and Reddit is Fun have moderator tools that do not exist internally at all. And
So
that
is
is
there
why
like
the
a
moderators are
separate
so mad.
API for old old Reddit. Maybe Apollo could connect
It
to
does not use an API. As far as I understand, it is like full on hands on with the raw data of Reddit.
So just use webhooks and connect to old Reddit with.
Well, that's what I think a lot of people are going to do. But I mean, you have to invent them
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
scratch.
But like how Red Hat doesn't seem to have any update path for the clone
Right.
users to actual rel, Twitter also is pulling the rug without having the actual replacement mod 2 solutions.
Right, because
So
we do not want those people that would make waves. Those, we don't want them as customers. And if they come back as customers, they're going to use the regular stuff. All right, cool. We'll take them. But the paying customers over here, that group is large enough to sustain us, and we don't care
Yeah.
if they convert. If they do, great. If they don't, no loss.
when you say customer, are you talking about the Reddit users or the advertisers? Because the users, most of them are not paying for it using Reddit.
Well, right. And so the users are the product because the advertisers are the real customer, right? And that's what I mean by all of this. Like, they're not losing customers by pissing off moderators. Well, not yet, anyway. Have you seen Interesting as F? That is a bit of an unmoderated hellscape, and Reddit's having a really hard time of replacing the moderators they're kicking out. So
Yeah, it seems to be more impactful than the Twitter thing just because of the whole moderator situation and that.
Yeah.
And
there's another layer to it, right? Like,
Yeah.
like Twitter makes its money off of the content that users make. That's
Yeah.
what this is why this stuff is so, in my view, like unethical and uncool.
I think that model works way better on the YouTube side. YouTube, which also happens to be doing some stuff right now with enforcing
The ad blocker thing.
the ad blocker thing. Because on YouTube, the more people use ad blockers, the more ads YouTube has to push on the people not using ad blockers. So it's sort of a not self-fulfilling
Hold
prophecy, but
hold on, Norbert. They don't have to do that. They want to do that. I mean, dude, the whole point is that maximum revenue.
Yeah.
That is it. If that were not the one thing that they're chasing, then they would not have to push more advertising.
But also the more ads they push on the regular users, the more even more people will be moving to using ad blockers. So the two things sort of
or
enforce
they
each
do
other.
like I did, and I finally took the plunge last week and got YouTube Premium because
Sucker.
which
I-
I have been using YouTube
That's
Premium
what's gonna happen.
for years, and I think
People are gonna buy Twitter Blue. They're gonna buy Reddit Premium, and they're gonna buy YouTube.
not
Premium.
doing that, but I am using
What's
YouTube.
the difference?
Well, I can support content creators.
Dude,
a
watch.
little bit better.
Watch. Reddit's gonna be like, you can't see posts older than 1 year old unless you have Reddit Premium.
Oh, well, then you can just take a flying, you know
Well,
what?
I am less and less inclined to use Reddit and Twitter because I just realized that Mastodon and Cabin and Lemmy, the federated alternatives to Reddit, are the errors. I can get the same information there. And YouTube is sort of the too big to fail of the social media platforms, I think.
Now
And
they all are,
ti-
dude.
Time
They're
will
all
time
too
will
big to
tell.
fail.
Yeah, maybe it's just I watch a lot of YouTube and I have curated a list of subscriptions that I'm very happy with, and I think I get enough value of YouTube that justifies me paying for YouTube Premium. If that means I don't have to see ads, but the creators still get some of the money.
Yep.
I
And
actually,
this
to be
entire
fair, I
ecosystem
actually
exists because we suck at paying for things on the internet. Because, as I mentioned before, the internet was always free.
yeah.
Yeah.
But these are services on the internet. I also would rather pay for something than to have to see ads. I am paying for YouTube Premium. I'm also paying for Proton Mail, Proton subscription, and I have also been paying for the Google Drive storage before I moved to Nextcloud. So, but then I also expect if I pay to not be the product. So, but a lot of services just don't stop.
It's not real
tracking
clear
you.
whether
Microsoft.
Google is. Yeah.
Yeah, because a lot of companies, okay, you won't see the ads, but will still track you.
Yeah.
Oh, not just no. You will see the ads. You open up that start menu, baby. You see that ad
Well,
right
I'm
there.
not talking about
Try to-
Microsoft,
you
Windows.
try to
I'm
log
talking
out,
about.
boy. Listen, you need Office 365 before you reboot. Check it out. Click
Got no
this
ads
real
on Windows
quick.
11.
Yeah, we've got security updates for you, but hold up. We need $89.99. Go ahead.
Just try to use it without it. Well, we got to get out of here. We want to hear everybody's opinion on this, though. Let us know what you think. Do you use enterprise software? Do you know anybody that does? If you do, give them a hug.
Yeah, they're gonna need it over the next couple of months. But what I will say is, I'm now using Rocky out of spite. So,
Yeah.
cool.
Well, as someone who has never used an enterprise distro, if I would start up a business that would require me to have an enterprise grade distribution,
Say Debian.
say
Debian.
maybe Debian, but also
If I have to maintain it myself, it would be.
I wanted to say
Ubuntu.
OpenSUSE Leap or Ubuntu, but like you said, there's nothing preventing the other enterprise companies to pull a Red Hat. So
It feels
maybe-
like Canonical
maybe
wouldn't do
it's
something
Debian.
like this.
or maybe Alpine. Or I
Maybe.
could just double down on NixOS, which I'm already using on my home server.
There you go. That's
I've
the
heard of
answer
it.
right there. Declarative systems.
I prefer, there are company made distros, there are community made distros, but there are also company backed community distros, like Fedora and Debian and OpenSUSE. But NixOS and Alpine are also like that, right?
It just makes me thankful for things like Debian, because it feels like that's the one thing they can't take from us. You can still learn how to make these things work yourself, So, well, on that note, give us a call. Let us know what you think. Email the show at linuxotc.org, or hit us up on the socials. We got to go, but let us know what you think.
Fine.
Darn it. We'll be back in 2 weeks, but until then, I've been Bill.
I've been Norbert.
And I'm still Leo.
Thanks, folks.